These are minis that I kit bashed for Turnip28, a weird world where the Napoleonic Wars continue, mud quagmires the land, and troops do battle, and everyone's infected with tubers. The leaders are called Toffs and Toadies, and that's what I've made here, mostly from like plastic bits and green stuff. And in this video, I'm going to show off how I made the Regimental Standard and the Grand Sproutling. The Regimental Standard leads the rotten apples to war, and his flag, along with the ribbons above it, are made from the foil of an empty tomato puree tube. This material holds whatever shape you bend it into, and it's become my go-to for any standards. The glossy mud basing represents the Turnip28 mire, and much of the figure is heavily weathered, but we kept the freehand design on the standard very pure. When I say we, it's because the figures were actually painted by my mate Callum, who now works for Modifius. The carefully applied freehand design is the idealised way that the rotten apples view their great orchard, even though in reality I've imagined it as a gross, barren, gnarled and infected forest. The Grand Sproutling was the most complex build, and I see him as the overall leader. He has a huge growth coming from his back that I built from a wire frame, coated in green stuff, and carved with an X-Acto blade. Rather than just cover the surface all over with lines to create bark, I also added some more inflated, gnarled parts to keep things looking more varied and natural. The blade has a bright green ichor on it, and because the rest of the paint scheme's quite desaturated, it really stands out. I see this as a corrosive, gloopy, poisonous apple juice that comes from the fruits of the great orchard. I had great fun making these odd characters, and it was awesome to see how Callum approached painting them. I really like the mostly muted palette that's been used, the subtle application of colour nuances applied using extremely thin paints, and the detailed chipping and splatter. On these figures, Callum showed that he can be a master of clean weathering, applying the wear and tear in a way that I'd never manage with my minimal brush control and total lack of patience. You can read more about how Callum completed these awesome paint jobs in Wargames Illustrated 445. Should you want to make some Turnip28 kit bashes of your own, I penned a full guide on how I built mine in Wargames Illustrated 403. You can see those issues, over 450 more, rules, discounts, and all sorts of other stuff by becoming a WI Prime member. So why not do that and then get kit bashing to your heart's content?